Good day, we're now going to discuss rigid body planar motion translation. The learning objectives are explain the various types of rigid body planar motion, explain rigid body translation motion including rectilinear translation and curvilinear translation. We will first start with rigid body planar motion kinematics. So by kinematics, if you recall, we mean that for now we only focus on the geometric aspect of motion. Rigid body motion by nature is more complicated than particle motion because it now involves the translation as well as the rotation. So for now, we will first focus on planar motion instead of three-dimension motion, which means that during motion, the path of any particle in this rigid body is limited in a plane and these planes are parallel to each other. And also, each plane is always parallel to a fixed plane and it remains at the same distance to this fixed plane. So there are three types of rigid body planar motion. First, translation. Second, rotation about a fixed axis. Lastly, general plane motion, which is simply the combination of translation and rotation simultaneously. During translation, the path could be a straight line, which is known as the rectilinear translation, or the path could be curved. This is known as the curvilinear translation. Either way, during translation, for any points on this rigid body path are identical, which means that this path and this path are equal. Now let's analyze using relative motion. Let's say there are two arbitrary points in the rigid body, point A and point B. Initially, there is a fixed coordinate system XYZ with the origin at point A. Then we define the another rectangular coordinate system X prime, Y prime, Z prime coordinates that will always have the origin at point A and will translate with point A. Therefore, at any given time during motion, vector R sub A represents the absolute position of point A measured from the fixed origin. R sub B will represent the absolute position of point B, and R sub B of A represents the relative position of point B relative to point A. And we already learned that the relative position is equals to R sub B minus R sub A in terms of the subscript B over A. During translation, this relative position remains the same. Its time derivative is 0, which means that the position of point B is always the same relative to point A. And the relative velocity of point B is also 0. The relative acceleration of point B is also 0. This means that for any arbitrary points on the rigid body undergoing translation, the 2 points will always have the same velocity and acceleration. You can also say that during translation, all the particles in the rigid body will always move at the same velocity and same acceleration at all times. Next part of discussion is rigid body planar motion, rotation about a fixed axis. The learning objective is explain the analysis and problem-solving strategy involving rigid body planar motion, rotation about a fixed axis. For a rigid body planar motion, rotation is limited within the xy plane. Although it looks like rotation is also about a fixed point, point O, on the plane, in reality, the rotation occurs about a z-axis that passes through point of origin and is perpendicular to the xy plane. Therefore, it is known as the rotation about a fixed axis. During rotation about a fixed axis, for any point in this rigid body, its path of motion is always circular with radius being the perpendicular distance from this point to the axis of rotation O. We can draw the arbitrary line that is within an arbitrary cross-section which is perpendicular to the axis of rotation. After some time, it has rotated to a new position. Compared to its original position, it has now rotated by an angle theta. Theta is known as the angular position for this rigid body during rotation. It has a unit of radian. We know that from an angle, the unit of radian is dimensionless. And the time derivative of angular position is angular velocity omega, which is equals to the rate of change of theta with respect to time, or d theta over dt, which has a unit of radians per second. And the angular acceleration alpha is defined as the time derivative of angular velocity d omega over dt, or the second time derivative of angular position theta, has a unit of radians per second squared. And now we can cancel out dt from these two equations. Again, we get the third kinematic equation. motion, that alpha d theta equals to omega d omega, and this should look very familiar since, as you recall, we learned that the three basic kinematic equation from linear motion is represented by these three equations. And now we have learned that the three basic kinematic equation for angular motion has a similar format as the linear motion. And similarly, just like we have in the three basic kinematic equation for constant acceleration from linear motion, we also derived that these three equation is also applied to angular motion with constant acceleration alpha sub c. For rigid body planar motion, since rotation is limited within xy plane, therefore, as Cartesian vectors, angular position, angular velocity, and angular acceleration all have components of unit vector k, which is the unit vector for the z-axis that is perpendicular to xy plane. And similar to sign components of moment, positive angular motion indicates counterclockwise rotation and negative motion indicates clockwise rotation. We recall that a particle is an idealized concept of an object that has no size and shape. Therefore, the particle can never rotate. During the rotation of the rigid body, all particles in this rigid body undergo a curvilinear motion. We already mentioned that in curvilinear motion, for rotation about a fixed axis, it will follow a circular path. Therefore, when the rigid body is undergoing rotation, the rigid body itself has an angular velocity and angular acceleration. But the particles in the rigid body have linear velocity and linear acceleration. And this is limited to particles that are not on the axis of rotation, since particles that are on the axis of rotation will have no motion. Let's look at the linear motion of one particle in this rigid body. When the rigid body undergoes a rotation about a fixed axis and an axis that passes through point O and is perpendicular to xy plane, point P on this rigid body undergoes curvilinear motion following a circular path. The position of point P measured from the fixed axis is what we call position vector r. And its linear velocity, as we learned before, will always be tangent to the path. And the scalar velocity, v, is equals to the rate of change of position with respect to time, ds over dt. And since s is the length of the arc, which is equals to r times theta, r is the perpendicular distance of point P from this fixed axis, and theta is the angular position of this rigid body. Therefore, velocity will be equal to r times d theta over dt, or can be equal to angular velocity omega times r. In this vector formulation, the linear velocity of point P is a vector equals to the process of cross product of the angular velocity of the rigid body as a vector. Don't forget that the component of k cross the position vector of point P. So we now have the two representations for linear velocity of point P. The linear acceleration of point P, a by definition, is equals to dv over dt. And since linear velocity, v is equals to the cross product of angular velocity omega times r. From calculus product rule, the derivative of ub over dx is equals to udv over dx plus b du over dx. So applying product rule, so we will have here u, which is omega, derivative of b, which is derivative of r with respect to time, plus b, which is r, derivative of u, d omega over dt. So in this representation, you will see that they just have different location in terms of representation. And we know that d omega over dt is the rate of change for angular acceleration alpha. And we know that dr over dt is the linear velocity. Simplifying, we will have omega cross product linear velocity plus alpha cross product r. And we know that linear velocity v is represented by omega cross product r. So linear acceleration a will be equal to alpha cross product r plus omega cross product omega cross product r. And since our plane is x and y plane, therefore the unit vector will be represented as I and j. And if you recall from mathematics, by multiplication I, j, and k, if we multiply I to j and j to k and k to I, it will give us a positive value. For example, I times j will give us the value of k, j times k will give us a value of I as unit vector, and k times I will give us the value of j. So therefore, k times j will give us negative I, j times I will give us negative k, and I times k will give us a value of negative j. So using the unit vectors, so we will have the unit vector of k for omega, since from earlier. Unit vector for angular position, angular velocity, and angular acceleration is k. So cross product k. And based from this representation, R is represented along I, so we will have I as unit vector. So applying the product, K times I, so K times I will give us positive J. So K cross product J, so K times J will give K times J will give us negative I. So therefore, linear acceleration is represented as alpha cross product R plus omega times omega, omega squared R. But take note, since we have negative I, this will be represented as negative sign. So we now have the formula for linear velocity. For linear velocity V, we have V is always tangent, so it will have a unit vector of tangent, and its equivalent is omega cross product R. And for linear acceleration, we will have alpha cross product R minus omega squared R. This is that product. And from our curvilinear motion, we know that acceleration is represented as a sub t unit vector t plus a sub n unit vector n. So therefore, in this term, this will be represented as tangential acceleration. This term will represent the centripetal acceleration or normal acceleration. And also, don't forget that from this representation, tangential acceleration is also equivalent to dv over dt. Since from curvilinear motion, velocity is always tangent to the path. So therefore, the derivative with respect to time will be the linear acceleration along the tangential with unit vector along tangential. So therefore, it is represented as dv over dt. And normal acceleration, aside from the representation of the dot product omega squared times r, from our curvilinear motion, normal acceleration is also represented by linear velocity over the radius of curvature. If the curve is a circle, it will be the linear velocity squared over r. So let's have an example. The system starts from rest and the motor rotates with an angular acceleration alpha 2 rad per second squared. Determine how much the weight W has been lifted. So we are asked for the displacement of this weight from this position, how much it will be lifted upward. After the motor has turned in 1 revolution, and we know that 1 revolution is equals to or equivalent to 360 degrees or 2 pi. And from the problem, assume that the belt and rope don't slip. So let's solve the problem. In this problem, the motor and the wheel are both rotating about their respective fixed axis, center of rotation. Their angular velocities are omega a and omega b respectively, and their angular accelerations are alpha a and alpha b respectively. Since alpha a is given a constant value of 2 rad per second squared, using this representation, we can say that the angular velocity omega a will be equal to initial angular velocity omega a plus constant angular acceleration of a times t. And since initially it is at rest, the value for the initial angular velocity is 0. So omega a will be equal to constant, so 2t. So it's better to analyze what will be the applicable basic kinematic equation in terms of angular motion. And take note, t is time, which is in second. Now, since the belt is continuous and it doesn't slip, therefore at any point at this belt, let's say point P1, this will have the same linear velocity as any other point on this belt. Therefore, it should have the same linear velocity as point on this motor. So, any point in this motor, which is represented by omega A times R. But at the same time, this point will have the same linear velocity on the wheel. So, any point on the wheel, which is represented by omega B R sub B. And rearranging the equation, we can create the equation for omega B, which will be equal to omega A R sub A over R sub B. And we know that omega A is 2t times R sub A is 0.50. 18 all over r sub b, which is 0.5. So omega b will be represented as 0.60. You will notice in this problem, we use one of the three basic kinematic equation for angular motion. And since we also encounters linear velocity and linear acceleration, so there's a possibility that we will also use the three basic kinematic equation for linear motion. Hindi pa natin ginagamit lahat ng basic kinematic equation, so isa pa lang nagagamit natin. We'll see anong pinakang mga applicable pang pwede natin gamitin. Since on this part, we are just identifying all the possible values that we can calculate to solve the problem. And now we will focus on the rope which is wrapped around the wheel, which is the inner wheel connected to the weight W. And we can see here that if we have a point P sub 2 in this rope, we'll also have a linear velocity that can be determined by this equation since they have the same point of rotation, and we will use the radius of 0.3. Therefore, as a function of time, we already solved that omega b is represented by the value of 0.60 and radius is 0.3. We will be able to get 0.18 t. Now, this is the linear velocity of the weight as well. From here, we can take the time derivative, so we can get the linear acceleration of the weight, which is the derivative of point P sub 2 with respect to time will be 0.18 meter per second squared. And since we have the constant linear acceleration, if we know the time, we can determine the displacement of this weight. Now, since the motor has turned 1 revolution, and we know that 1 revolution is equals to 2 pi, which is equals to 6.28 radians, or you can simply use 2 pi. By applying the equation from our basic kinematics, equation for angular motion, and substituting all the values, 1 revolution will be the representation of our angular position. So we will have here 2 pi, and this will have a value of 0 since initially at rest, and this will be represented by a value of 0 since it is starts from rest. We will have here 1/2. The constant angular acceleration will be 2 rad per second, t squared. So we will have here 2 pi is equals to t squared. So time will be equal to 2.5066 seconds or 2.51 seconds. But we are asked to find for the distance or position of point P as we lift the weight based on the angular constant acceleration of 2 rad per second squared. So therefore, we will apply now the one of the basic kinematic equation for linear motion. So since we are asked to find for the displacement delta S, we can represent this equation as S minus S sub 0. So we will be representing delta S, or we can simply say that the initial position is 0, so therefore S will be equal to, and since from the given it stated that initially it is at rest, so there will be no velocity. So if we multiply it by time, the result will also be 0. So it will be 1/2 constant acceleration of point P sub 2, which is 0.18 multiplied by t squared, and substituting time, which is 2.51, we will be able to get 0.565 meters. So that will be the value for position. So for example 2, if the system starts from rest and the motor rotates with an angular acceleration a, which is 2 rad per second squared, after the motor has turned 1 revolution, so that would be theta, one revolution is equivalent to 2 pi. We are asked to find the magnitude of linear acceleration a of point P. And since we are asked for the linear acceleration a, and we know that the wheel is what we call the rigid body, and point P is what we call the particle, which will have a curvilinear motion. Therefore, linear acceleration is represented by tangential acceleration a sub t unit vector u sub t plus a sub n u sub n. So we will use this representation to get the linear acceleration by applying Pythagorean theorem of a sub t squared plus a sub n squared. And since the problem is similar to our previous problem, therefore we will also use the time calculated, which is 2.51 seconds, so that we will not resolve the problem in finding the time or the duration when the position vector is at 1 revolution. So solving the problem with time equals to 2.51 seconds. So we know that omega A is calculated as initial omega A plus constant acceleration t. So omega a is equals to, so initially at rest, so 0, so we will have 2t. So we can solve for omega b. So we state that in terms of point P, the linear velocity of point P can be solved as omega a, r a is also equals to omega b, r sub b. And using this equation, we can have omega b equals to omega a, r sub a over r sub b, which is 2t times 0.15 over 0.5. So omega b is equals to 0.60. And we know that the derivative of omega b with respect to time is represented as alpha b, which is angular acceleration of b. So that would be 0.6 rad per second squared. So we now have the representation. Why do we need this representation? If you recall, linear acceleration is equals to a sub t u sub t plus a sub n u sub n, and a sub t can be calculated from velocity, which is always tangent to the path, or simply dv over dt, or dv sub t over dt, which is a sub t unit vector u sub t. And we know that linear acceleration tangential can also be represented as alpha cross product r. So we will have here alpha cross product r u sub t. And we know that linear acceleration n, aside from v squared over r, since circular path, we can also represent this as omega squared r. So negative omega squared r u sub n. So we will solve first for a sub t. So a sub t is equals to alpha cross product r. Alpha is 0.6 and r is 0.5. So we will have the value of 0.3 meter per second squared. So we already know this, that linear acceleration tangential is always tangent to the path, and normal acceleration is always pointing towards the center of curvature. So we now have a sub t. Next is a sub n. A sub n is equals to omega squared r. And since we are asked to find for the magnitude, and magnitude is always non-negative, so we can neglect the negative sign. So we will have here omega 0.60 times r. R is 0.5. Don't forget squared. We will have 0.18 t squared. Substituting time, which is 2.51, a sub n will be 1.134 meter per second squared. So we can now apply Pythagorean theorem, and applying Pythagorean theorem, we will get the value of 1.7 meter per second squared. So this is the procedure for analysis. In the procedure of analysis, first we need to analyze the problem, identify all the given, identify all the unknowns or required by the problem, and then we can now start solving for the process of angular motion. Likewise, for a certain point P. So you will notice earlier we have the representation of P or omega is equals to d theta over dt. Likewise, alpha d omega over dt equating. So alpha d theta equals to omega d omega. So these are all the equation for continuous motion, constant acceleration for angular motion. And for this representation, it is important to be familiar with point P. Take note, point P is the representation of particles since we are now discussing rigid body. Rigid body are the one that rotates, and point P are the particle that has a curvilinear motion. So therefore, it is still important to be familiar with the linear velocity and also the linear acceleration. Since this is a representation of scalar quantities, so sometimes some of the problems requires the value which is in terms of vector quantities. So it is important that you know how to calculate using I, J, and K, because this equation is important in terms of the usage of unit vector. So that ends our discussion for rigid body planar motion. Thank you.